really quickly. So there, even after IOPC 2018, I think at profit wise I won. Leaderboard was third or whatever, and even then I was kind of critical. Like here, for example, it's 532 plus 215, that's 747, right? But there's this 390 rebuys that chips are added, yet 111 get paid, which is based on this number. But if you base it on all the chips in play, this is like not even 10% of the field being paid. So very concentrated, top heavy payout structure. Kind of reminds me of the Game Changer, because the only thing that it changed was it busted like 300-400 rolls, bank rolls. Because I know, because I had students that stopped coaching because it's ran out of money. It affects all of us. So this thing right here makes absolutely no sense. Not even just this part makes no sense. If you actually add up, like this guy should have, like, one of these people I'm not gonna name, like, should have a lot more numbers next to them. So this like trickery of like this rebuy versus re-entry, it's the same thing, man. Someone closed the lobby, someone didn't. What if, like, when I was trying to re-enter, I only had 5,500 in my account and need to quickly put in more money, because I never keep a roll on Spartan, that's for sure. Or maybe the client or my computer, suddenly now I was supposed to rebuy and now I re-entered. What the fuck, man? That makes no sense. So, but what it essentially manifests in is this feeling of something being not right with the random number generator. Because today was the first time, or this week, bar 3-4 days, half a week, I played a lot more on just Indian sites, and we forget the one really important rule of poker. If you want to rise up stakes, you gotta play, you gotta put in volume, you gotta have good game selection, and you definitely don't want to be re-entering tournaments that are already takes you, for example, the 4,400 buy-in field or the 5,500. I mean, they are certified mid-stakes buy-ins, and yeah, people can sell action or whatever, but just imagine, like, I played a 1K twice, 660, like 5 times now, because I just ran on a heater on ACR, and yet my average re-entry, average buy-in is less than what it was on stars.in, or what it is probably on throughout my screen names on Spartan. PokerBuzzy, for example, and even .com had less, and I was playing the bigger 11, bigger 109, bigger 11, everything. PokerBuzzy has a different problem. It's decent blind structure, however, its game pace is so slow that I was looking at some data, and like I got second in the Endeavor last year, and I played like 5 tournaments after that on that site, because I realized that, like, you just don't get dealt any hands, and you see 2 blind levels pass by, and no hands being dealt to you, so you get dealt like 5s, you're down to like 60 big blinds. I'd say run it, man. I'd say run it, and just hope to get lucky, but don't rebuy. Spartan is on its like special relativity clock, just speeds by its buy-ins. It's got some Einsteinian general relativity space-time shit going on. It's basically like crazy math. Then you have regs who kind of leverage the fact that they can re-enter a lot of times. Will they get it in? For example, I had a couple of situations where I know I busted this guy 3-4 times. Of course, like, he re-entered, and like the 7th or 8th time of his re-entry, he got on a heater, right? Like, he's on to do that. But also they're leveraging the fact that they can do this, so that hurts, people who want to play MTTs and not buy MTT titles. Secondly, newcomers kind of emulate these regs, and like half of these regs have a half-life of like 2 years before they start like kind of running out of money and realize how bad it was, the deal that they made with certain like backers and stuff. Like, yes, you need money to play poker, so better learn bankroll management. And like, there are tournament buy-ins on Indian sites that a person like me with a 7-figure score recently would not touch, because I don't think there's any value in them when you can play a 16.50 on demand and guaranteed 200 up top, and they're soft as fuck. If we wanted, we could just ask the sites to just, what is your average buy-in? Why not? Because you're going to be in the money more, why not just have like 10,000 buy-in or 20,000 buy-in and 30,000 buy-in 18 mans? That's how stars started. Poker stars, like, they started with 6 max, then 9 max or whatever, then 180 man, then the $11.50k came, right? Then came other things. Yet the things that I'm gonna be talking about later, and again, I'm running some sims, and then I got Tiger King to watch, and I got the breakfast to eat. So I'll leave you with a couple things. Like, poker is my job, and I'm happy I'm able to put in a 26-hour shift again, especially like Sunday and stuff. Used to enjoy it a lot. Now it's kind of takes a bit of a toll, but it'll pass. All things pass. Nothing is everlasting. Only your imagination makes it so. So what I found on using H2N instead of like reports on Excel with like logical formatting, which is harder to visualize and like you can fuck things up. RW52 actually has a good structure, even though they do have the unlimited re-entries. They have a slower structure. Still, the same habits show up. But on Spartan in particular, because I ran this filter for flop all-ins, 2 types, gross all-ins. So total, all of our population going all in on the flop. And all-ins on the flop that were more than, so there were 3 ways at least, 300 at least, so not heads up. So out of like various sites, Spartan outnumbered them by this, like, and I'll elaborate on this data. So there's an expression filter you run, right? And you can test it to see if it's outputting the right hands. So the site started filling up this bar, this like one side, and it just filled it up, and there was a million hands that showed up. Then I ran it just for Spartan, and it basically outnumbered this side, like right here, in like a 0 to 100 bar. So I had to stop it. So I'm running it. I mean, I'll run it again because I know some CPU has been taken by my solver. We'll talk a little bit about GTO, just strategy wise. Now, what happens is, where does variance in MTTs come from? Well, in NL cache, for example, most of the variance should, in principle, come from bad beats, right? Because you're either a bad player or you're a decent player, good player. You can't avoid bad beats. That's just like luck. That's why you need to play a lot to, no one in India is a rag, because no one in India has played 50,000 online tournaments and then played 50,000 more. And then you can say that, yeah, you're professional, not just because you wear a hoodie or, whatever, have 1 or 2 scores or 5 scores or 10 scores. It's fine. Fish win tournaments all day, every day. So in cache, NL cache, bad beats come from, so variants come from bad beats and coolers and stuff like that, and maybe some like strong hand over strong hand, no, whatever. In MTTs, because of how the structure is, because you don't have to pay rake for every hand and you can play shitty hands, because population tends to realize the dynamics of, or at least on the surface level, the dynamics of a tournament poker. They know that like at like 9-10 suited or even offsuit at like 12 big lines, at a like crucial state of the game, small blind can just slam, jam, thank you ma'am, and big blind can wake up with ace king offsuit. Problem is that this is, if ace king doesn't win, this is not a bad beat, because ace king is supposed to win approximately like 6.5 out of 10 times. We can almost say like 6 out of 10 times over a smaller sample. There's going to be some variance, right? There could be variance on either side, but let's say like the variance is like a number that's rounded down here. So that's close to what a flip is. So that's not even a bad beat. This is how like 9-10 suited or even offsuit is a different category of hand from ace king offsuit. But the way no limit hold'em works with like 5 cards coming, it's not hard to see why this has a lot of equity. That's why a lot of people like think that there's certain plays that are made by people that are kind of like bad, but they're not, because folding there would be pretty silly. Obviously, there are certain lines that non-observant fields can't have. They're not sophisticated enough to have, but that's different. The fact that there's a gross difference in all-ins on the flop and multi-way all-ins on the flops on one side. I mean, on all sides compared to .com, it's way higher in India. So we should not be writing articles and reading articles about putting the O into GTO or how someone came out of their downswing because of one tournament that they won or like whatever. That's not how it works, man. Downswings are not what you need to be worried about. Because if you're worried about a downswing, you're playing way above your role. Yeah, you can have liquidity problems, but then you got to realize that you can just, It's also this fact that like this word bet is kind of like, because English is a very redundant language in the sense that you can read this sentence, right? Right, you can read this sentence. And it's because of redundancy. That's why airplane or aviation industry has not V and B, so that they don't confuse the two. They have Victor and Bravo. So the Victor and the Bravo are redundant. So English also provides some redundancy. So betting is nothing but investing. Yet not many people see that. And when they think of investment, they think of banks. But banks are never thought of betting, because banks' usual job these days is risk management. And risk management is a fancy word for saying gambling to a certain degree. I mean, crossing a road is gambling with your life. Because you just don't know, right? You could be pretty vigilant, but just never know. There's chance involved in every aspect of your life. I will also talk about how rebuys and this notion of having a certain non-zero chance of winning does not equate to a plus EV decision. So re-entering at like a late stage, re-entering in PKOs is not profitable. So why would you ever do a thing that in the long run will not yield you a profit? You don't want to leave your family and your loved ones with a piece of paper that says 6 crore life insurance, here, live a happy life, remember me. No, you want to leave them with resources and other tangibles like that. And for that, you need to know that you need to work hard. And in fact, life insurance is correlated more to how poor you are, directly correlated. So the poorer you are, the more it's worth to have life insurance. The more right now you have resources, and that just means if you're an able-bodied young person, just work. Know that 20 years from now you're going to have much less energy, much less motivation. So right now, the situation we're in poker, I can tell you it's not the RNG, it's the inherent variance in MTTs, which comes from this disparity in ranges, this structure-driven strategy where people get short. Now, if that variance is also compounded by the fact that certain events, like all-ins, are happening more frequently, yes, over the long run, it should regress to the net expected, but you'll be surprised how long that takes. It takes about 10 million or to 20 million cases, so hands. And since poker is a function that is bounded, so the function f of p f of poker is equal to like x plus 1 or x squared plus 1 minus something that constrains it, minus some constraint. And this constraint is why, there's an outcome which is pretty black and white. Even a chop, you can say, is pretty black and white, 1 or 0. So this constraint means that poker is part of the Mandelbrot set. And if it's a part of the Mandelbrot set, that means it's going to have bifurcations, and it's going to have a transient start. Like, you start playing, your ITM is way up there, and then it like kind of equalizes. Same thing with your net expected. Now, I have net expected of an entire population of like 400k hands of just rags, 180k hands of rags with some filter data, and 1.3 million, just the Indian version. And it's just funny that on one side, and one side alone, there's tremendous jump in these all-ins on the relatively early in the game tree. That has to lead to variance. And the thing is with variance, if you have something like 60 to 80% all-in equity, when you go all in, if you are not, since the outcome has to be one or the other, if you don't achieve this, someone else is running better, right? So it doesn't matter who runs better. You have this chance on Spartan poker. This is the result. So when you have 60 to 80%, you realize about 56%, that equity about 56% times. Whereas I looked at on other site data, like for myself, when I have 60 to 80%, I'm running close to the median and around 71%. When I am lower, like I have 20 to 40%, since I have nothing to lose, I'm kind of running a bit towards 40%. And when I have 80 to 95%, I'm running close to 79%, because here's when I have something to lose because it can't go above 100. However, all of these that I pointed out, 180 to 95%, 60 to 80%, 60 to 80%, even 20 to 40%, only one of them on Spartan is same as all the others, but this one is running turgidly lower than expected for most of the field. Now, this is not individually based hands. When you do it with the field, it should be close to 56%, because if one person isn't, the other one is. But this is that's independent of the fact that if one person is losing, the other is winning. Because I've just asked the question in the expression filter. Look, you have a 60 to 80% equity over a long sample of hands. What is the realized equity? It's much shorter than 60. It's like 55, 56, like I said. And that is a product of the fact that when you have a multi-way all-in at a shallower part of the game tree, you are subject to variance, and you'll only overcome it if you are either a rebuy monkey, want to just buy a tournament rather than improve and work hard and improve your strategy and look at it from a long-term perspective. Like I said, shelf life of a rag in India is probably 2 years, and a lot of this has to do with not understanding bankroll management and being too I can't play 100 INR tournament. The old Aditya Agarwal, these tournaments are not worth my time. You win way more playing low stakes than you ever will playing high stakes. Just look at some of the ROIs of high stakes players. They regress to 2-3%. Just look at the documentary, The Economics of Poker. Not many poker players actually have the bankroll to play the stakes they're playing. Even the super crushers, they're always backed. That's how money in poker works. So all of this will be explained through data that is well visualized, and you will see that it's this fast structure, old habits, emulating other people who do this because they can just do it because I don't know where they're getting their money from, but I know they're not doing that well. And I'm not going to imply any reason or infer any reason. I just saw that on Spartan, this criteria is being underperformed by the entire field. The entire field is underperforming this. So this question can be asked the other way around too. Who are the players who are achieving more than 60 to 80%? And the answer will probably be half the field, because the other half isn't. But they're both, again, independent variables. So you'd have to run independent expression filters for that. Again, I've done it. I'll show it to you. I've done it for River too. But the thing is, again, this was also pretty funny to notice that on Spartan, the showdown, like saw River and went to showdown. Again, is severely lacking. Again, it's because of this all-in thing. Like I said, I remember this hand versus this guy with the IOPC badge who just bet on 2-3-4 board. So wheel board. Don't bet on a wheel board. Come on, that's common sense. I had a set of 4s, 60 big blinds behind me, even though only like 20 minutes had passed the tournament. Since the tournament started, I jammed set of 4s, and he called with ace queen suited with a backdoor flush draw. So he's just taking a very thin spot, and also most rags are just leveraging the fact that they can re-enter, and that there's constraint on PokerStars.in, but they are just run by a complete, like, could have used the brand and its logo so much better, but instead he's the one who's copying people. She should just have started, and I'll give you a solution that we should ask sites to incorporate, which is a tournament that used to run on Full Tilt Poker, and I know they've nuked it. They probably have some kind of proprietary right to it, which is the multi-entry tournament, the one where you buy in with 4, and on the same table you can play with 4 different stacks, but instead of having to buy a 20 big blind stack and like wasting money that way and making a negative EV decision, and we'll explain why this is negative EV, because again, non-zero chance of winning does not mean, because it's a chance of winning. Chance of winning does not have much to do with EV. It has to be calculated differently. It has to be added. What needs to be added is the chance of not winning, and those 2 additions will give you an EV for certain spot. So yeah, those multi-entry 4-table tournaments where you could just enter 4 times, do it that way, or just run like 20,000 18 mans. You can sell them, and you'll enter the money more, and more of them will run because they'll fill up. Then someone else will have to start a new one, and it's how the original PokerStars is built, right? But still, props to PokerStars for at least constraining their re-entries and still meeting some of the guarantees they meet. It's just that they're just run by a person who's rather dumb when it comes to a lot of things and pretty fearful of things. Remember, nothing lasts forever. No matter what kind of pain or affliction you feel or whatever judgment you have, it's only in your imagination, because it's only there in the present. In the past, you're just imagining how it happened. The future, you're expecting how it might happen, and both of them are just close to it. Imagination. And finally, I'll leave you with one last thing, which is simply this. Because I think of poker as earning a wage. Glad I'm able to now put in the hours again, but I'm much more into the fundamentals. You'll see a lot of posts by me nowadays on the Poker Theory forum on 2+2. And the other thing is we need a much more transparent place. Poker Guru once reported on me on how I was going to make, and it was Brijesh Negi too, their forum, but I didn't. But we did. We just got blocked by the admin. So we need a open platform. We're all somewhat young, so why not use computers that will help you solve the game? We're all tech savvy, and we should also be somewhat savvy with the way we conduct all manner of poker operations, and bring them to a platform that's better. Now, I don't have that platform. I'm not going to build it again. However, because I'm going to a place where I can play party poker. Yet, would love the Indian scene to become more sustainable, and for people to realize certain things and their power and their influence over sites and how they can influence what products are offered. Yet, just like the pot tripper scandal on Absolute Poker, way back in the day, it was a bunch of people who came up with the data to show that there was some cheating going on. Same thing with Mike Postle. And I'm sure not just me, and there are people way smarter than me who can, if given the right tools, deduce the same thing that I'm deducing. Of course, it's not gonna be my opinion, which is just nothing but a point of view, or you can say perspective. is an opinion without judgment, right? So you can say it's 15 degrees today. I can say it's 20 degrees. I think we're both right there. It's just kind of like point of view. We're still observing a physical phenomena, and we're not lying. Right? It's just something we've observed. It's kind of like there's a statue here. You're watching it from this angle. I'm watching it from this angle. So obviously we can differ on like certain attributes of this, but we certainly cannot dispute that this thing isn't there. So what I can bring to you by later tonight or by tomorrow is the math that I found. And trust me, it is not the RNG. It's our habits that are forcing variance into the game. And it's also certain sites who are incapable of understanding this. So it's going to be pressure from us, not from any stable or anything, individual players. And certain sites who have leverage and brand recognition should offer us, not me, I'm out from that side, but should offer a better product because they have rights to certain proprietary types of tournaments that would keep these guarantees that we're so used to, even though it's volume that makes you money, not guarantees. And be fearless and introduce those tournaments and be the ones who listen to their customers and then change and make the whole scene better. It's coming up on Sandman Flying. It's gonna be data that sends you flying. Alright, Mama's gonna be making some prantas, so I gotta go. I also gotta sleep, man. I mean, since Saturday, I've only slept from 2 to 6 this past evening. Yesterday afternoon. Peace out.